Watching Tulsa King makes me wonder why it took so long for Sylvester Stallone to show how great he is at playing a gangster. Stallone stars in Tulsa King as Dwight Manfredi, a capo from a New York City mafia who was sent to Tulsa, Oklahoma to start his own criminal empire. Tulsa King has also been a massive success for Stallone, and it's one of the best shows on Paramount+. Sylvester Stallone is one of the most legendary actors in Hollywood. He's been an icon of both the action genre through his Rambo franchise and the sports genre through Rocky. Though Stallone's best movies often dominate their genre, there's one area he's only recently broken into through Tulsa King, the crime genre. Though it's a genre full of legendary actors like Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and even Denzel Washington, I can't help but wonder why Stallone never got into it earlier, especially considering how good he is in Tulsa King. The sit-down, organized by Don Charles Chicky Invernizzi, is the subject of Navigator, the sixth episode of Paramount Plus crime drama series Tulsa King. Arriving in Atlanta, Georgia, Dwight, the General Manfredi, and Bill Bevilacqua talk about a truce so they can continue their business endeavors and other matters. Tyson Mitchell is his father Mark's chauffeur while his boss is abroad. His van breaks down as he is leaving for work. After posing as Armin Manny Trucy's savior for a while, Cal Fresher tells him his genuine motivations. There is a cruel cliffhanger about Mark's destiny at the end of the episode. When Chicky Invernizzi is arrested at LaGuardia Airport in New York City for carrying a handgun, Dwight Manfredi and Bill Bevilacqua arrive in Atlanta for the sit-down and wait for her. Without thinking about rescheduling, Vince Antonacci chooses to mediate the conversation. Bevilacqua informs Dwight that Tulsa is a part of his Kansas City-based empire and that he cannot allow him to unexpectedly invade the area and overthrow him. In response, the former Mafia capo asks if he was even concerned about the location prior to his arrival. Bevilacqua requests a portion of the money Dwight makes from his business in Tulsa regardless of his response. Since he believes he is under no obligation to accept the offer, Dwight is not very interested in doing so, but he understands that two neighbors shouldn't be constantly at each other's necks. He used 15% of his earnings to Bevilacqua as a gesture of goodwill in order to achieve harmony and cooperation. Additionally, he sells marijuana for $575 a pound, knowing that the Kansas City man's Texas marijuana farms are suffering from inadequate irrigation. The dangerous dispute between them is resolved when Bevilacqua agrees to the terms. Given that Chicky sent him to Tulsa, Vince asks them what New York will gain from the agreement. Dwight makes it clear that nothing will be given to New York. The members of the Invernizzi family, for whom he had served 25 years in prison, turned against him after his release. He doesn't want to give the same group of people any money. He sees no obligation to provide any kind of benevolent gesture because Chicky is not a neighbor. Vince goes back to New York with nothing. When Chicky inquires as to whether the meeting was postponed, she finds out that it took place without him present. When he finds out that his scheme didn't work out, he becomes very upset and snaps at his capo for lining Bevilacqua's coffers. Cal Fresher is forced to concede defeat after the individuals he dispatches to destroy Dwight Manfredi's new wind farm sustain injuries. His partner, Jackie Meng, is not pleased with the way the businessman treats his men. He informs the latter that their business will suffer as a result of the wounded gang's show of weakness. After that, Fresher encounters Armin Manny Trucy, who at last comprehends the reason the businessman is assisting him. The powerful man is told by the rancher that he cannot betray Dwight and divulge information that could put him in danger. He doesn't want to cope with the former Mafia capo's abilities because he is aware of them. Fresher, nevertheless, can't stand Manny making decisions for him. He is threatened by the businessman, who also says he has enough guys to hurt him and leave his remains with his kids. Since Manny admits that Fresher owns him, the threat is effective. Jackie advises his partner to deal with Dwight without taking any shortcuts. The businessman should aim for the head and end it, he suggests. Following the conversation, the mobster discusses an undisclosed, extremely private issue with his associate. Bill Bevilacqua, meanwhile, makes it clear that he has no intention of keeping his word to the new emperor of Tulsa. Bevilacqua is unable to reconcile the reality that Dwight deposed him in Tulsa and accept the meager 15% of his operations. Despite their settlement, he still wants to get back at them, especially after what happened with Capugo. Additionally, he discloses that he did not make the marijuana purchase for himself, but rather for the widow of his deceased associate. Tina, Dwight's daughter, learns how to handle a rifle as his adversaries get ready for a bloody conflict. She learns how to shoot a gun from Mitch the Stick Keller, and the two wind up having a blast. The former Mafia capo is moved when the singer calls Tina beautiful, but he is sidetracked by a call from Tyson, who purchases his Navigator for Mark. For some time now, Mark Mitchell has been having problems with his old van. After multiple repairs, the car is in poor shape. When it doesn't begin, Tyson offers to drive him to Dwight Manfredi's Navigator where he works. The seat warmer is one of the car's best features, according to the plumber. While his father is boiling his blood to provide for the family, Tyson is happy to see him happy. He purchases the car from his boss and gives it to Mark, who is thrilled about the idea of driving his new car to work every day. He joyfully departs for work the following day and opens the car door only to have it blow up. Regardless of the blast, Mark might not have perished. The explosion occurs prior to him getting into the vehicle. He may have survived the explosion because there is no sound of him starting the car. He must have been thrown away from the automobile by the blast, sparing his life, assuming he hadn't gotten inside. As far as we can tell, he hasn't burned down inside the car, which Tyson might find comforting. He realizes that the attack is being carried out by the person or people in the white automobile that followed him the day before. Jackie Ming and his team are probably the ones at fault. Given what Dwight did to his troops at the wind farm, the explosion might be a form of revenge. He could easily plan the explosion with the highest secrecy because of his connections to the Chinese underground. Since Cal Thresher hasn't yet used overt violence, it appears that he is not part of the conspiracy. The likelihood of Bevilacqua planning the attack is very strong, particularly after he makes it clear that he will not keep his end of the bargain with Dwight. After the former mafia boss assassinated his right-hand man, Caputo, he might have wanted to see Tyson dead.